Hi everyone, it's Tammy, and I made a cute MD card using the Monster, what is this called? Monster Hugs stamp set by Concord and Ninth. And it's just a really cute stamp set with this little sweet little monster, and he has a balloon that you can put as something that he's holding on to, and I thought this was really cute and I wanted to make MD cards with it, so I did. And then I was looking at it just now and I thought, you know what, I want to make one of these for my son because he is working at this job and his bosses took him to lunch and they're telling him how great they thought think he is, and telling him about some positions that may be opening up with people retiring. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect for him. So I went ahead and stamped just on a piece of cardstock that is, I think, 5 by 4. Yes, 5 1/4 by 4. So this is going to be a card front. And you can see I got a little smudge here, so I'm going to have to make sure that I cover that up in some way. So I am thinking I'm going to put the balloon to make sure that it covers it there. So you can always cover your mistakes. And this is stamping in real life, crafting in real life. So let's go ahead and get started. So the way that you can make sure that you can like do the background here, like the green and the blue that I did, kind of like the grass and the sky, I did by, I stamped on some Post-it note paper, and that's what this is. So you stamp on your regular paper, and then you, after you have fussy cut the image, you put that down. Whoops, and there's a little piece of it coming off right there. There we go. And you can save these and use them again and again. And what I do is I just put them on the back of my stamp set so that I have them. And this is his little hand that's going to be holding the balloon. And you can see that this one looks new, and that's because I forgot to use it on these. So this guy doesn't have a hand, but details. We're just not going to worry about that. So then what I did is I took some Distress ink, and I think you could use any kind of ink. I'm just not very versed in the Distress ink, and I'm trying to use it more so that I can learn about it a little bit more. It looks like chalk when you're looking at it, at least it does to me, and I need to put something underneath here. So I just have a scrap piece of paper that I'm putting underneath. But one of the neat things about distressed ink is that it's supposed to, like, I think it's water soluble. I think that's the way you say it. Goodness gracious, my biology teachers would not be happy with me. But you can squirt water on it and it will like take some of the color off. Among other things, look up Distress Oxide and you'll see all the different things that it does. And Tim Holtz apparently has 2 different kinds of Distress ink. One is Distress Oxide and another one is something else. And I have some of both, but like I said, I haven't played with them enough to give them credit. So that one was Cracked Pistachio, and this one is Faded Jeans. And I have a little dauber that I'm using on this one. And I'm just going all around the edge of my little guy, and then I'm just taking it out. And because this is a Post-it note, I mean, it will lift up if you go this way against the, you know, if I went the opposite direction of how it was stuck on, it could potentially lift up and then you could mess up your card. So be careful of that, and always try to move your tool outward. So you can see I do it outward here, but then I also went outward that way, and then I'm going outward up here as well. And if that doesn't make sense to you, it will when you are actually trying the technique. And you'll probably only mess up once if you do mess up. So you can make this kind of look like a halo or whatever you feel like. I think that looks kind of neat. And then this part, just like embossing, never gets old. This never gets old to me either. You lift this up. And look at that. Isn't that awesome? So it looks like he's staying in front of the background, so that's perfect. And then, like I said, I'm going to put this on the back, and I'm going to separate the arm. And I usually just put them where the image is so that I can see where they are on here, but it's on the back side, so when I'm looking at the stamp set, normally I can see the things that are there, but then I have my cutouts if I need them. And let's see, on this one I embossed that You're Pretty Great on black paper, and I'm going to do that again, and I left the You're Pretty Great on here. So let's go ahead and get this embossing finished so that I can get all the stamping done, and I need to stamp the balloon still as well. So I'm going to put this down here, and you just go straight down and straight up with Versamark. This is a ink pad that you use. It's sticky. It's almost like a glue pad, but it's made of something that makes it so that embossing powder sticks to it. And it's pretty good at like staying on there for a little bit. Like you can see, I'm taking my time putting my stamp away, cleaning it off, and then I will pour my embossing powder on because it will stay tacky long enough for me to do all of those things. And then I'm just going to take some scrap paper, and this is white embossing powder, and I'm just going to pour this right over. And if I had thought about it, which I hadn't done for any of them, I could have used my embossing buddy, which makes it so that the embossing powder only sticks to the Versamark, but I always forget that. And you can see how it kind of sticks all over here. So I take a little brush and just kind of brush that away. And you need to brush it away before you heat it, because if you don't, it will stick. Because what you're doing when you're heating it is you are melting this little plastic that the embossing powder is. And I wiped a little bit of the Y off, so I'm going to just make sure that it's all very nicely covered. And I'm going to try to be a little more careful this time. Okay, that looks better. So now I'm just going to put that to the side, and I'll heat it up here in just a second. But first I want to put this embossing powder back in its storage container. And a tip for embossing powder is, after you've used embossing powder or anything like that, glitter or anything, if you use a microfiber cloth and wipe the area, it picks it up super nicely, so you don't have to worry about it. I still see some embossing powder around here, so I'm going to just be a little bit fussy, hopefully not going to touch the area too much. Alright, and then I'm going to take my heat tool, and you want to heat it up for about 15 to 30 seconds. And then you just aim it toward the letters, and you can kind of do small circles, or you can just hold it straight, but you'll be able to see when it starts to melt. It kind of changes colors. There it's going. And I think this is one of the coolest things ever. And it doesn't take any time at all for it to dry. And this gets really warm, so you'll be able to touch it, but now it's like stuck on there, and it won't, and you know, it's just kind of cool that you can do it in any color and all of that. I'm not even going to cut it out yet because I don't want to lose that little strip, so I'm just going to leave that up there. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my balloon, and I'm going to make it so that it covers this. And I'm actually thinking of stamping it on some paper and making my balloon like a dotted balloon. So let's see how that looks. I'm just going to take my balloon stamp, put it on my block, and then using my black ink and I'm just going to stamp this straight down, just like that. Cleaning the stamp off and putting it away, because I like to do that all at the same time so I know that it's taken care of. And that might be all of the stamping that I have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And I think I'm going to cut this at 5 1/4 inches. That way if I decide that I want to use this, I'll cut this at 4 inches. So that can be the background if I decide to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this really close to the balloon. And then I will cut out my balloon. And I'm just going right on the line, or right over the line, I guess, because I want there to be a black line around the balloon. So it's just a really thin line. Cutting that right off, and then I'm going to snip that. And then what I'm going to do, whenever I do a paper cutout, especially if it's on white cardstock or a white base, I like to take my black marker and go around. That way if I messed up anywhere, it hides it. And I think it just gives it a professional look. So I don't always do it, but I like to do it when I can. And then I'm going to put this up here, see if I like that. I almost wish I did a different color balloon. I don't know if I like that so much. You know what? I think I'm going to just keep that. And I lied about the stamping. Like I said, this is crafting in real life. I'm not done stamping. I am going to just stamp right on here. If I can find my black ink again. Oh, I put it away. And I'm going to make sure that I cover up that area that I wanted to cover up. I'm going to kind of angle them this way. And then what I'll do is I'll just keep this with the stamp set. And I keep my stamp sets in these kinds of things. That way if I ever need the balloon, I'll have it already cut out and ready to go. So now I'm going to do some coloring on this guy. And I'm doing some watercoloring. And I don't know if I want this either, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll want this as the background. But I'm doubting it. I'm going to put it over here. I don't really have a background picked out yet, but I will. Okay, so to do this, what I did with my other guy was I took my Wink of Stella and I used I used pink and purple on him for these MD cards, but I'm thinking I'm going to use green and purple, and then I'll use pink for the little things. So I'm going to change him up a little bit. So instead of the pink one, I'm going to use a green one. And I just push the pad onto the top so that a little bit of the ink comes down here. And then what I did was took my little dauber, and I know I had one. Well, there's a purple one. Here, let's see. I know this guy is green. Oh, what did I do with him? Oh, he's on here still. I'll just use this, even though I'm probably not supposed to mix them. I'm just gonna fill in his belly just a little bit, just like that. And then I'm going to take my purple I'm gonna get it a little bit wet. Take my little dauber and just lightly color in the little guy. I say lightly color him in, that's not exactly true. I'm not lightly coloring him. I'm just not filling him in toward the edges and all of that. I'm just coloring him in. I keep wanting to say lightly, but I don't know if that's the right word. I think you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm not like being real careful about where I color. I'm just kind of getting the ink around where I want it to be. And then if you take your Wink of Stella, it will act as an aqua brush. So I'm just going to push it a little bit to get a little bit of the water down here, and then I can take my aqua brush and kind of move this ink around. And not only is it moving the ink, it's also adding a great deal of sparkle, which I think is really cool. And it makes the monster look really neat. Now, this is not watercolor paper, so you have to be really careful not to saturate it too much. And it's not going to lend for like perfect coloring or, you know, like the perfect balance of light effect and all of that. So you just have to be okay with it being a little imperfect, which is the whole idea, I think, of watercoloring. I'm going to do his little belly a little bit, and then I think I'm going to take this green that's left over from his belly and just go up here on his little horns and give it a really light green color like that. I'm making sure that color is off of my Wink of Stella. I love the Wink of Stella. I'm going to take a drink of my coffee. And then I used blue to color in my balloon because I had blue underneath and I thought that that would color best. And I think it looks good with blue. So I'm using an alcohol marker that I have in my stash. And I'm just going to color this in. And I am sure that there are fabulous ways to color in a balloon, especially one this big, but I am just kind of coloring it. I could probably play with it a little bit more and find other colors that would work too and do it up right. Maybe I should do that. I feel like this one needs to be re-inked, but I don't have re-inker for this, so I'm just going to do the best that I can do here. I don't know if these Touch 5 markers can even be re-inked. But at least the smudge is gone now. You can't see that, right? And coloring it in like that kind of makes it different colors anyway. I don't know. The marker isn't making it too bad. And then I have a multi-liner, and I'm going to draw a string from the balloon to his hand and then a little bit down. And there are balloon strings in the stamp set, but I thought it would just be fine just to draw it. And then I'll and I'm gonna take my little green pen here and color in his little horn a little bit more. And I think I will do the wink of Stella again. And I have this Perfect Pearls, and this is in the color Blush. And frankly, I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to use this, so I've just been playing with some of my stuff today because I have a lot of stuff and I love it, but I don't know exactly how to use everything, and I look it up when I really don't know. But I did this just off the cuff on my other cards and I really kind of liked it, so I'm going to do the same technique. I just put a little wink of Stella or Perfect Pearls on my brush that came with the Perfect Pearls, and then I'm just brushing it on this balloon. And I don't know if you can see the effect, but it is a really cool, like a holographic effect. Maybe that's a little easier to see. It's almost like the wink of Stella, but it's not glitter. It's shiny. I don't know the right words for it, but I think it's kind of cool. And I don't know if you're supposed to do it like dry it like that, or if it's supposed to be wet, or if there's even supposed to. I haven't done enough research on it. I have used them before in some instances, but it's been a while. So, you know, just play with your stuff. There's no wrong or right way in crafting. And then what I also did was took some of this water in my distress sprayer and just sprayed, because that Tim Holtz ink will like get splotchy, and it's kind of neat. And then I just dry it with my little micron brush, and hopefully you can see the little dots in it. And you can even make bigger dots. Like if you put bigger drops of water down, if I can do it. Come on, fall down. Oh no, it's drying. There's a big drop of water right there. Let that soak for just a second. And then hopefully some of that ink will come up. And you can see how it's like dotted. And it didn't really do much to the Perfect Pearls. It still looks holographic, and it didn't do anything to the wink of Stella, so that's really kind of cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my heat gun again, and I'm just going to warm it up just to get all of that dry. It's not very much, so it won't take long. And I like to do it on both sides just to help flatten out the paper. Hopefully you can see how it kind of curls it up and then it flattens it out when you do the other side. And then if you needed to, you could also run it through the Big Shot to make it more flat, but I think that this is fine for my needs. I overheated it a little bit, that's why it was dry and I was still heating it, but so it curled up a little bit, but that's okay because I'm going to use it in a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And you can see that it's not straight on my paper, so I'm going to have to cut both sides. And to do that, I line up the words with something on my cutter so that I can see where it's straight. And in this instance, I'm lining up the top of my words with this edge of my cutter. And then when I cut it, it should be a much straighter, if not a perfectly straight line. And then I'm going to do the same thing over on this side where I'm lining it up with something over here. And I'm not paying any attention to how the card is, or how the paper is laying on the thing, but then you cut it and it's way straighter. It might not be perfectly straight, but it's straight enough for me. And then I notched the edges of the other ones, and I'm going to do that for this one. And that takes away some of the crookedness too. And I put that one over the balloon right there, but I might put this one down here a little bit over the balloon, just because this is a little bigger work area. So I'm going to take a dimensional and put it right there in the middle. And then you can use glue or any kind of tape or whatever that you want. I'm putting a little bit of tape on each end. And I'm actually going to put a little bit more on that side. And then I'm going to take this, peel that paper off, and put this down. So I'm sticking the middle part down, and then I'm sticking these down. And on this one, I'm going to squeeze it in just a hair. So it kind of raises up here in the middle. Hopefully you can see that. And it just kind of gives it just a little bit of dimension, and it just kind of looks kind of cool. So now I need to get a background card for this. And you know what? I have some background cards, and I'm wondering if one of those wouldn't work. Trying to see what I have. Handy schmandy. Oh, here's a whole deck of cards. Here's even some dark blue. Now it has XOXO on it, but it would be covered up with this. And I think that's perfect. Yay. Oops. I also have this green one. Oh, no, I don't want that one. I mean, these are really pretty, but, you know, sometimes I don't want that sentiment on all of them. Oh, that would look cute, too. I might like that one. I think I'm going to use that one. I'm glad I kept looking. There's a purple one too that might be cute. Let me see what that one is. Oh, it has bobby pins on it, but maybe if I put this on there you couldn't see. Oh no, you can still tell they're bobby pins. And on the back they have bobby pins, so that wouldn't work. But I think that's good. So I have an envelope and a card base. And I am hot. So I am going to stick this down. So I know we did a lot of different things on this card, but I don't know, it's kind of fun. So hopefully that's what crafting is all about, having fun and making it your own, and you know, there's no right or wrong way, so have fun with it. I think that looks adorable, and then I can write in there my little note to my son to tell him but I think he's pretty great, and clearly his bosses do too. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stamp the envelope with that little monster. And there's another little hand with him waving. I think I'll use that hand. So he's saying hi. And there's a stamp that says sending hugs. And this little, oops, I just dropped it. Yikes, don't want to do that. Okay, just a second. I'm cutting out my sending hugs because I don't want it attached to anything else. And almost there. So you can do as much or as little to some of these things as you want. And if you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I hope that my crafting is helping you. Because that's what it's all about. We help each other. Okay, so I'm going to put sending hugs right here. And then I'm also going to put it right here. And that is that. Now I may color this monster, but I may not. I don't think I will. I think I'll just leave him black and white on the envelope. And I have cute Scooby-Doo stamps. I'm going to put one of those on it. There we go. So it's ready to go. So that's my card for my son. I hope that you guys like it, and I hope that you guys try some of these techniques, or that it taught you something maybe you can try. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.